And tonight's guest is Joseph R. Cervasio, the author of 2 books, Bad News on the Doorstep, a fictionalized memoir, and Now or Never, the 11 Secrets of Arimathea. Hi, welcome back, Joe.
Nice to be back, Jen.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Am I pronouncing it correctly, your name, Cervasio?
Yeah, that's perfect. Cervasio in the south of Italy, they might prefer Cervasio, but here in the States, Cervasio is perfect.
Oh, okay. I just guessed.
Yes, very good.
What about this Arimathea? How do you?
Arimathea, yes, you're
Arimathea.
real close on that. Yes, that's the little town in the Middle East where allegedly a outstanding businessman and religious leader by the name of Joseph of Arimathea came from, of course, the gospel, the character from the New Testament.
Oh, I see. So were you born in the States or were you born in Italy?
Yeah, no, I was born here in the States, as were my parents. My grandparents, on the other hand, are all from central and southern Italy.
Oh, I see. So I'm sure you've been back to Italy many times.
Yeah, a couple of times with my wife and my daughters. It's a great place to be from, and it's a great place to visit. We're proud of our roots. Yes.
Yeah, and your career sounds so interesting, and I would like to hear more about that. But before we do that, and I'm curious about your childhood. What kind of a child you were, and what kind of dreams you had in your childhood?
Well, I was born into a middle-class, blue-collar, Italian-American Roman Catholic family in North Jersey, where Mom and Dad were very talented. My mother was a writer, but without college degree, so therefore she worked initially office work and then factory work. And my dad was an artist, a portrait artist whose career was actually cut short by the war in the South Pacific. So they worked hard to bring home, acceptable incomes, but with blue collar. And the dream was basically to get me to college, which is an experience that they came so close to, but weren't able to achieve. And that dream came through hard work academically as well as in athletics, which I did have as a passion as a young man. So I was blessed with good parents and a great childhood.
Wow! So you are beyond your dreams, and everything you achieve after college is extra achievement.
Yeah, well, as you know, because I know the American dreams is so central to the core of what you do, and I know your life. Some came true, and some not. Some in the process. Sometimes we've dreamt, if you will, and sometimes we've undersold ourselves. And to a certain degree, the 11 secrets that I do outline in the second book, while they don't deal specifically with the word or the term dreams, certainly if followed can fulfill those dreams.
And the leading to that book, what led you to write that book? Now or Never, the 11 Secrets of Arimathea.
Yeah, it was really interesting. We were working on our first book. I was having such a difficult time because I wasn't an accomplished writer. I was a pretty much known public speaker and corporate executive and a great storyteller. But with my first book, when I put it out there for agents and publishers initially, it wasn't going anywhere. I found a young publicist, a fine young man in Minnesota who loved it, and he said he was going to help me, and he did, and he got some publishers and some agents to listen to the story. But one day, I'll never forget, he called me. He said, "Joe, I know how to get Bad News on the Doorstep out there with big time publishers and maybe even in film." I said, "How?" He said, "Write another book." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, are you a one-time, novelist, writer? Is this the only, that great American novel and that's it? Do you have anything else to say? Because, we're entering into recession." He was prophetic. And unless you do something real bad or real good, you got to come up with another book. So with that, I said to my wife, I said, "What do you think?" And she knew how much work and time and effort I had put in the first one. Oh, my gosh, on airplanes, motel rooms, at home, weekends, nights, the whole thing. She said, "Wow, if you're going to do this all over again, let's do something about your business as opposed to..." The first one was pretty much a reflective look back, and it's a fictionalized memoir, as you mentioned. So let's do something about your business, what you've learned in business. And that's what got me thinking and starting. But it was basically write another book, said my publicist.
Oh, okay. It just didn't come to your mind, in the middle of the night in your dream, or just.
Well, what happened was this: when he said that, and I did frankly talk to my wife about it because she knew and I knew the commitment it would take, without much return on the first one.
Yeah.
Because again, I was a corporate executive and successful in that respect, but certainly not as a writer. I said, well, if we're going to do it this time, hopefully we were a little bit more successful than the first time around. And I was looking to her wisdom. And I said, yes, what I've been doing in my business over the years has been performing and leading and managing myself, but also emulating and studying the performance of great ones, mediocre ones, and failures around me, whether it be, my many years as an athlete and student or in business. So I said, well, are there common fibers, threads here, secrets that the great ones use, or the ones who have gloriously failed, have just ignored the secrets. And so I began to record what I saw as common patterns. But then I said to myself, I spent many years in college. I went to a great university, Cornell. Cornell from the Ivy League. Went on to do a master's at NYU. I said, you know what? It's really not in me to write a nonfiction with bibliography and footnotes. I'm a storyteller. So then I said, what's one of the most interesting stories I know? Maybe I could combine that with my findings in business, and that's how Now or Never, the 11 Secrets of Arimathea were born, because I knew a great mystery story. It was from the Bible about this Joseph of Arimathea, who's in all four Gospels, who is involved in a very unique and controversial event, and that is burying of the body of this young itinerant preacher by the name of Jesus, and then he vanishes from history. No one knows where he goes. So I said, now that's a mystery. So I'm going to find out where he goes. I'm going to write a fiction I'm going to fictionalize this historical aspect of his life, and I'm going to put him in a problem, and I'm going to give him 11 secrets how to get out of it. So I combine my practical learning in business and athletics, the 11 secrets, with what I thought was a great little mystery.
Yeah, but why the title, Now or Never, the 11
Well,
secrets?
that's why the song, What About Now? I'll tell you what happened. It's crazy. It was, I think it was around 2005. I had all my notes ready to start writing, but I didn't write it yet. So I'm starting to think of a title. And I go to this convention. My business, leadership and management and performance development, has been almost exclusively in the resort development industry over the years with companies like Marriott and the Rank Group of England, International, as well as American Resorts. And so I was at a convention, I don't know where, Las Vegas it was, and one of the vendors was showing a film representing one of their new videos, et cetera, on why we all should vacation around the world. And the theme song was this song, What About Now? Why don't you take your family on a vacation now? Well, I had never heard it before, and I loved it so much, but it hit me so hard because it was about the subject I was going to write about, because as we speak later, the first secret is the power of the moment, certainly influenced by the great work by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, his great bestseller that Oprah put worldwide with her worldwide network. So here was this song about the moment, What About Now? And it sort of caught my ear because it talked about that old 50s jalopy or a dinosaur from Detroit. I'm a big 50s and 40s classic car guy. And it talked about, as you said earlier, how about tonight? What about now? Why should we wait? And, Baby for Once, if I think I can remember correctly, the lyrics said, let's don't think twice. Let's not overthink. Let's take the spin that never ends. And that was weaving into the esoteric, if not transcendental thinking that I was already doing. I said, the power of now. Let's do it now. And so I thought it would be fun for you to play it. And the What About Now was my original working title for the book. But when Ken came onto the scene, he said, Joe, I don't think that's going to be the name of the book. It was actually What About Now, the Secrets, the Tomb of the Rich Man. And we started talking about it, and from What About Now, that concept came the new title, or the actual title, which is Now or Never. The 11 Secrets of Arimathea.
Yeah, any particular reason for 11 secrets instead of 12?
Yeah, 10? Very good point. In all my travels, because I live in Nutley, as you just mentioned, Nutley, New Jersey, I always have, an East Coast guy. for the last 7 years, I've been the president of an internal learning organization for a mid-cap public company, and I was commuting every week to our home. We have a home in West Palm Beach, and in going back and forth to Florida, I was beginning to pull all this together, and the 11 Secrets simply represented what I had melted down to the 11 reasons, as I mentioned earlier, that I found people essentially ascribe to be successful and to minimize and, if not eliminate, regret and remorse. So I couldn't add any more. I mean, I could have gone on and on. We could all go on and on, but I saw these as the essential ingredients.
Yeah, a lot of people, who are like 7 secrets for success, and, there are a lot of 7s they use. And,
Yeah, why 7, yeah.
But, we have about 1.5 minutes before another break.
Sure.
And I know, I've done my research for my Ph.D., and I know how agonizing that is, but maybe, this is a little bit different since it's fiction in a way, fictionalized nonfiction in a way, So, but how did you do the research?
Yes, after I had just from a secular perspective outlined the 11 Secrets, then I got into the mystery story, or which represented a historical novel or spiritual novel aspect, and there was very little on Joseph of Arimathea in Scripture. But as you know, you Google people up, you find a lot of things about them. And I began to find other books written about him, and much of it, frankly, is hypothetical. And in fact required me, you mentioned fiction, it's actually called, and I didn't realize that some Jewish friends of mine said, "Gee, Joe, you wrote a midrash." I said, "Well, what's that?" They said it's just an embellishment upon what is known but possibly as fact, if not history and if not scripture. So I had to go outside, of course, those 4 Gospels about Joseph, because there was just so little written about him, and I found a whole bunch of stuff written by other novelists and other biblical scholars, and not only about him, because I have 11 different people that deliver the 11 Secrets. So we did a lot of research about some very popular people in history, and some that I created as fictional.
And is your name, Joseph, came from his name, or is there any relations with that? Or?
No, I doubt it. Middle East, whereas my roots are Southern Italy, but coincidentally, it's the same name. Yeah.
Welcome back, Joe.
I'm back. Thank you. Looking forward to our continuing.
That's great. We were talking about your books during the break, and that sounds so interesting. And first book, the Bad News on the Doorstep.
Yes.
That one. How was the response from the people? That's a story of yourself, actually, and fictionalized about.
Yeah. Yes. It has almost a cult following because of some of the successes of the Jersey genre that's happened as of late, for everything from Jersey Housewives to Sopranos and a whole bunch of other reality shows and things. But it's really, some have said, in fact, my good friend Ed Marinaro, who lives out on the West Coast, who got a couple Emmys with Hill Street Blues and Sisters, and a dear friend of mine from Cornell, he said it's sort of a combination of American Graffiti and Happy Days meets The Sopranos. And with that, the serious aspect of it, the title itself, Bad News on the Doorstep, comes from the great rock and roll anthem by Don McLean, American Pie, which memorializes the terrible plane crash of Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper back on February 3rd, 1959. And that's one of the lyrics, of course. And Bad News on the Doorstep has several meanings because we do talk about the impact of that event on this middle class Italian American Roman Catholic household in New Jersey, where I grew up. But also we talk about how the coming of age challenges that we all faced changed this very household and a whole community based upon upon and inspired by actual true story, which was a high school football game. So while it seems like a local, family-oriented kind of book, it has some national, if not international, ramifications relative to the impact of not only the Buddy Holly horrible accident in '59, the plane crash, but also the many changes that were going on in the latter part of the '50s. So Bad News on the Doorstep has a great following so far, and to the point where, as I think I might have mentioned to you privately, I do have a partner. We have a beat sheet which is readied us for the screenplay, which is now in the process, and I have interest in either long-term, a full-length film and or a 10-part series for it, because there are just so many characters, so many interesting characters in it, and so many subplots, everything from counterfeit to religion to football to Italian food, and this truly dramatic event that happened in American history back on February 3rd, '59, when these three rock and roll icons were killed.
Yeah. What got you to start writing anyway in the first place?
Well, my wife, God love her, I was in my business, the resort business. If I'm going to be based in Nutley, New Jersey, where there aren't many resorts, although we're only about 12 miles from New York City, and of course this is a famous town where Martha Stewart grew up, and right next door to my hometown of Belleville, New Jersey, where the Four Seasons and Frankie Valli and that great play now, Jersey Boys, is based. So we have a lot of things around us, but not a resort. So in any event, being in the resort business, I would always travel to my places of business, whether it be flying to my home in Florida in my most recent effort as president of a leadership institute of a mid-cap company, or to answer your question, back in '94, I was commuting 77 miles each way to my office, and I had a lot of time in the car, and my wife, I'm complaining about it to my wife. She said, well, why don't you write a book? And I got a handheld tape recorder, began to put some thoughts into it, and out of that came our first book.
So what has been the response for, both books?
To mention the second book now, that both are print, frankly, both are print-on-demand publications, with Ken working with the second book and getting us close to major publishers. I mentioned that because with a major publisher, the marketing would be significant. But on the second book, the results have been mostly generated by my lectures and book signings up here in the Northeast. And the 11 Secrets of Arimathea are very timely right now because of the recession that we're in, is hopefully coming out of, where people, while they see it as a historical novel or spiritual novel, they're looking for answers. And in these 11 secrets are answers, which I apply to Joseph of Arimathea, such as learning how to live in the moment, learning to surrender to the isness or the reality of what is in front of a person, learning how to magnify the magnificence in yourself, other people, learning how to be joyful in the process, learning how to be patient, and the act of giving, of course, and gratitude and love and living in other people's worlds. I'm just quickly weaving the 11 secrets for you. And on the basis of that, we've had a more diverse group responding to the second book than the first group. Certainly I get people who think it's a religious book, which it's really not, and they're intrigued by the practical lessons on how to live. Then I get those who just look for a good mystery story, and they surely have that. And then I get, frankly, the New Age and the Far Eastern thinking people, perhaps Buddhist and Hindu, who appreciate the value that is in place in their culture on the power of the moment and the profound lessons that you can find in silence through meditation. And that has made it a bit of a controversial book, frankly, because in the shadows of the story is the traditional story of Jesus of Nazareth, which makes it walk and talk and look like a Christian story. But certainly I went very, very deep in my research to prove out the similarities between all the religions in terms of how to live life successfully.
I see. You said that you published the print on demand. Does that mean you're self-published, or is that...
No. I found two great groups. The first group, Author House, which many, I'm sure, aspiring writers know, is a fine print-on-demand publisher in Indianapolis. And the second one is actually inspirational publisher down in Orlando, Florida. And again, as Ken knows, because Ken's right deep in Mr. Atchity, there's Dr. Atchity, in the publishing business, there are many different ways to get something out until Madison Avenue comes knocking on your door. And we're close with a couple of publishers, but of major proportions, but nothing yet.
And, mine is coming out, mine is autobiography. And I don't know if Ken told you, but, mine's in Korea sold over 500,000.
I didn't know that. God bless. That's wonderful.
And that was a major, success. And now it's coming out in English. And, whenever I gave a talk in America or anywhere else in English, they always look for my books, but I had only Korean books. And I decided to publish with CreateSpace. And I guess I miscalculated. I was hoping my book will come out before Christmas so that it will be, used as a Christmas present.
Oh, very nice. Well,
but my miscalculation, and it's taking much longer than I expected, and it's coming out probably at the end of December or beginning of January sometime.
Well, don't let that frustrate you, because in my second book, you'll come to learn to not be frustrated by the dimension of time. It will come out at the right time, believe me.
Yeah, that's probably part of that 11 Secrets of Arimathea.
Yes. For sure.
Sounds very good. And you're the perfect person, I guess, for me to just let out. But
we'll talk further about that. If I can help you, I'd love to.
Yeah. So, I guess we have to take another short station break. And so when we come back, we will have about 5 minutes or so, 3 minutes, 4 minutes or so to, continue to talk about your books and the future of your other projects. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back. You're listening to Jin Robertson at American Dreams. The Sky is the Limit. Our guest tonight is amazing Mr. Joseph R. Cervasio, the author of 2 books, Bad News on the Doorstep, a fictionalized memoir, and Now or Never, the 11 Secrets of Arimathea, I guess. I'm still learning how to pronounce.
Oh, you're very good on it. You got it.
Yeah, actually that, what you told me during the break, sounds so interesting about, I lived, the way I lived my life has, actually proved, 7 of your secrets.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure the others as well, but in particular, Jin, as I mentioned, I was so impressed when you traveled back to D.C. looking for that next step up with your service in the military, and you hadn't gotten that job, and you went before those people, and actually it is my 11th secret, acting as if in cold blood you're already the person you hope to become. I mean, you had to fight back. I mean, they had decided against you as the selection, but in the appearance, in that post-selection screening process, you, maybe subconsciously, without knowing, acted out the part to the extent that they gave it to you. And that's one of the secrets. That's the 11th secret, acting as if what you're hoping for, praying for, what you think is destined, is actually going to happen, and act it out. And it also combines with the Rhonda Byrne's law of attraction. It becomes infallibly real within moments.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing mystery, actually, because
it's a mystery. Yeah, it is a mystery. Yeah,
mystery. I had no idea about your 11 secrets. I had no idea about the secret of the law of attraction stuff. But I just lived. I chose the best way to bring my dream come true, and that happened to be the way the proving your secrets and the secrets of the secret, the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But since we have only about 3 or 4 minutes for the 4th segment, and what's in the future for this project and any other similar projects?
Yeah, very quickly, as I mentioned, with the first book, we're close to the screenplay. We have people ready to see that, and we're very pleased because we have it mapped out from beginning to end with a beat sheet, so we're excited about that. We hope to be marketing a screenplay within actually weeks. if not months. But with the second book, it lends itself, because of the 11 Secrets, it lends itself naturally to 11 sequels. And the first sequel I've already treated. If I might share with you, the very first secret that is delivered to Joseph of Arimathea, this historical character, the mystery man of the Bible, who in my historical novel, I have him going into a deep depression because he gets into big trouble with the authorities, if you will, without getting into details. But the first secret is delivered to him by the famous, if not infamous, Mary of Magdala, Mary the Magdalene, this a woman, a very attractive woman who was there at the time of Christ, around that whole following of the way, if you will, that this new concocted religion of this itinerant preacher. And she comes in rather boldly to him and says, Joseph, you have to live in the moment. You've been living too much in the past with regret. You're wishing things didn't happen the way they did. It's too much. I would have, I could have, I should have, and certainly in the novel we're not talking in such 21st century terms. And she says, and at the same time, you're so fearful of the future. She says, what you're not doing is living in this moment, living right now. And, of course, it wakes him up a little bit, and that's the first secret upon which the other 11 are based. And the reason I mentioned that, the future of the project goes into sequels, and the first sequel is a more in-depth probe into her as a character, as a historical character, Mary of Magdala, and also into the first secret, the power of the moment, the power of now, of course, getting much information from the wonderful work of Eckhart Tolle. And the title of it will be The Magdalene Moment, Practicing Noetic Presence. A couple of words that are a little bit different these days, but I'm very excited about that. But of course, until we really get Now or Never, the 11 Secrets out there big time, we won't go to that quite yet. And ironically enough, my wife and I are going to the south of France in May on a cruise and exploratory vacation as I research further, because according to historians, that's where she ended up, this very interesting, if not provocative and enigmatic character that was found in the Bible. So the future of the second book, it looks like it's going to lend itself to some sequels. But we're, again, very excited about the first book, because once we think, and Ken, hopefully, God willing, Dr. Atzi could be involved in this, once we get it into another medium, which could be screen, I kind of think they'll discover the second book as well. And my Lord, with that story, I would hope to see it up on screen somewhere in some form.
Well, wasn't there another book, talking about that Mary? And
well, of course.
Yeah.
Dan Brown.
Yeah, Dan
the
Brown.
wonderful Da Vinci Code. Yeah, very controversial, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there is some controversy with my second book. It's getting mixed reactions in evangelical Christianity, where I've spent a lot of time in my life, and I'm indebted to. Because, as you may know, in a parochial sort of manner, many folks who are in that walk and way of life don't read much other than the Bible, it seems. I mean, thank God for people like Joel Osteen and Joan, oh God, my name is Colson and Chuck Colson and some other great writers. There's some great practical reading out there, but a lot of them are very fretful about looking at anything that looks and walks and talks like fiction. So I'm getting mixed reactions, and they're seeing, and it's a little bit of a controversy, because in there are some esoteric metaphysical concepts of the Far East that are foreign to traditional Judeo-Christian Western religious culture. And I'm excited about that, because if they would just listen and learn a little bit, what people in the New Testament are saying are not a whole lot different than people were saying and writing in the Tao, and certainly in the Old Testament, the Quran, and particularly in the way of life that our good Buddhist and Hindu friends have to say. Yeah. So there's some controversy in that respect coming out of Christianity, but I get a kick out of that, because if you believe in what you believe, and there is a higher power, well, that higher power has a lot more information for us to receive and listen to and to apply, if we would only open our ears and our hearts and our spirits.
Yeah, I think that's almost another whole show. Yes.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
But we are really running out of time, and so where can our listeners go to find out more about your work and you and order books also?
Yeah, on a daily basis, they can go to my blog/website, which, as you said earlier in the show, is www. and then my name, Joe Cervasio, JoeCervasio.typepad.com. They, of course, can Google me up as well. And in my website blog, there's access to Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble and the two different publishers, and the books are there to preview and to purchase. And, of course, if you go to any bookstore, and they'll go online and they can find it for you, and you could order if you like, and certainly don't hesitate to contact me through the website. I'd be happy, or through Jin, yourself, Jin, be happy to chat with people. I talk to people all over the country. It is amazing, people who call me about the first and second book. It's just amazing.
That's great. And I look forward to hearing more wonderful, success stories from you, and I really enjoyed talking to you tonight.
Well, Jin, it's been an honor, and hopefully I'll stay in touch with you directly, if not through Dr. Atchity, and I wish you well with your life story, and I think, God willing, maybe we'll do some things again together.
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful evening.
You too, Jin. Thank you.
Bye.